Okay, good evening, everyone. So today we're going to look at how we make condensation polymers. This is something you're going to need to know for your IGCSE chemistry or indeed IGCSE coordinated sciences courses. So first of all, let's have a look at what a condensation polymer is and how they are formed. So the first thing, we've got two main types of condensation polymers. These are polyesters and polyamides. And as it says here, they're formed by a condensation reaction and it's going to release a small molecule such as water. Now, whilst that's usually water, that isn't necessarily always the case. Sometimes you might get things like hydrogen chloride as other molecules, but most of the time it's going to be water. So in order to do this, you're going to need monomers. Now, either you can have a dicarboxylic acid and a diol. So dicarboxylic acid is a carboxylic acid has got two C double bond OH groups on either end, and a diol one will have two OH groups on either end. Or you can have a single monomer that has both of these functional groups in there. So basically, for example, lactic acid has COOH and an OH group both attached to it. Now, polyamides can be formed from a dicarboxylic acid and a diamine. So diamine has got two NH2 groups on either end. You might be familiar with the amine part of an amino acid already. Basically, in this case, a diamine has two of those amine groups on it. And here's our amino acids, which can also form a form of a polyamide, which you're very familiar with. It will be a protein. Okay, so here we're going to see how we form a polyester. So polyester is always going to be made from usually made from a carboxylic acid and an alcohol. Again, as we've seen earlier, we need a dicarboxylic acid and a dialcohol. There are some other ways of making a polyester, but this is usually one of the most common ways. So as you probably know already, a carboxylic acid will react with an alcohol to form an ester and water in a condensation reaction. It's worth mentioning at this point, you also need a concentrated acid catalyst to do this. And we usually use concentrated sulfuric acid. And you are also going to need to heat this under reflux conditions to make this esterification reaction go. And we're going to end up with our ester and our water in a condensation reaction. So what's going to happen here is we're going to form a bond between the oxygen on the alcohol and the carbon on the carboxylic acid to form an ester bond that looks a bit like this. And we're going to get water as our side product. Now, if we were to connect up a dicarboxylic acid with a dialcohol, we'll end up forming a bond again between the same oxygen and the same carbon. But of course, this time we can do it on both ends. And so we're going to end up with our polymer, our polyester. So notice in our polyester, we have two monomers joining together to make up our repeating unit. And we show our repeating unit with these square brackets with the continuation bonds on either side. And we have the little n to show that this is a very large molecule. Now, the most common one you need to know if you're doing IGCSE chemistry 0620, you need to know about pterylene. Pterylene is also properly named as polyethylene terephthalate, a bit hard to pronounce there, and that is formed between benzene 1,4-carboxylic acid and 1,2-ethane diol, like this. And this is the structure of polyethylene terephthalate, like this.